is up, y'all? Today we are back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about something that is very common amongst a lot of people in this community, and it certainly was a huge problem for me when I started off riding bikes, being on motorcycles. So huge problem was that I couldn't be on the bike for more than 15 to 20 minutes without specifically my throttle hand just going so numb and completely just falling asleep, feeling like I had a hand of stone because I couldn't even move it. And this was a big problem because this happened almost pretty much every single time that I would get on the bike, and I really suffered the consequences one time that I went on a trip that was about 2 hours long. And man, my hand was just suffering. It was hurting the entire time, and it got to a point where it felt like I couldn't even move my hand at all because it was just completely numb. And obviously it's a 2-hour ride. There wasn't a lot of places to stop, so it was just a nightmare. And yeah, it became a pretty huge problem. But with time, I started getting actually used to doing some specific techniques that actually started to prevent that, and now I go on the ride, I don't start getting my hand to feel numb. And I just proved that the other day when I went on another about 300 miles, and my hand did not go numb once. And no, it's not because I got cruise control, because even though that works a lot, sometimes I don't use it, especially when it's like a lot of like stop and go traffic and stuff like that. You know how it is over here in LA. It is what it is. But a lot of people at the beginning would give me advice that didn't really work. So for example, people would tell me, oh well, try like moving your hand when you're on the throttle so you can give it a little bit of relief, or try a little bit of that screwdriver grip, which is kind of like opening your hand a little bit and kind of like going like this with your index finger and your thumb rather than trying to grip with your entire hand, almost like exactly like a screwdriver, right? And even though those things provide a little bit of relief to that tension on your hand, it's not really a fix. It's more like a band-aid fix, you know? Like you get a little bit of tension off, and then guess what? It's just gonna come back after a while. So here are a couple of things that actually worked for relieving that tension and preventing my hand from falling asleep. It really just comes down to two things. I would say number one, the easiest problem to fix is you're probably gripping too hard on the throttle. But number two is actually the most important part, and it's that your body position on top of your bike is likely off from where it's supposed to be, and you're likely not doing what you're supposed to be doing the entire ride, which is being a little bit more forward and controlling your center of gravity on the bike by gripping with your thighs on the tank. So that's really the fix to being able to alleviate your hand, because let's go over both of these steps. So number one, obviously when you're on the bike and you're experiencing a lot of vibration from the engine running, obviously if you're gripping really hard on the throttle, you're gonna start feeling that after a while. If you have a lot of tension on your hand and you're just gripping that throttle, it's gonna go numb pretty quick. You know, give it like 10 to 15 minutes, your hand is gonna start going numb. You're gonna start getting that tingly feeling, and it's just gonna be a horrible time. That's an easy fix because you just gotta go and not have as tight of a grip. But here's the thing, you could have a quote-unquote loose grip and still get your hand to get that tingling and fall asleep because of the second thing that I mentioned, which is the most important part, which is that your position on the bike is off and that you're not gripping hard enough on the tank. Let me give you a little bit of a demonstration. Okay, making sure the kickstand is down. But if I sit back way too far on the bike, what's gonna happen is, if I'm way too far on the bike, I'm going to have to lean forward to be touching on both of the handlebars. And when I'm leaning forward, guess what's gonna happen? I'm gonna start putting forward pressure on the handlebars, which means that my hand is going to be experiencing a lot of forward pressure the entire time. And you see a lot of people like this on the street. I literally see it all the time. I'll see, and you'll see this specifically on sports bike riders, that they have an awful position. They'll be like super far forward, their butt is super far back, they're not gripping the tank hard enough, and they got their arms fully straight up like this, and they're putting so much pressure. Basically, their whole center of gravity is forward. And when your center of gravity is forward, it's almost like you're holding yourself up just strictly with your arms, meaning that even if I have a loose grip, so even if my hand is completely open, guess what? I still have a lot of pressure on my hand because I'm literally holding my upper body weight up the entire time by applying pressure on the handlebars. You do not want to do this. So the first things first that you want to do, you want to go ahead and go a little bit more forward on the bike, like I just did. Go a little bit more forward. Make sure that you're obviously in the right position for your legs. Go a little bit more forward on the bike. Now your body's not going to have to be as bent over forward. Number two, when you grip right here, if your arms are fully extended, you're doing it wrong. You are not supposed to have a fully extended arms the entire time. Your upper body is supposed to be relaxed because you're putting so much tension on your upper body to support your upper body weight during your entire ride. Because you're leaning too much forward, your upper body is tensed up the entire time. Your upper body should be completely relaxed throughout the entire ride. So as soon as I'm much more forward on the bike, I start gripping the tank with my thighs and my legs. Now I'm in a much more comfortable position. See, there's a little bit of give right here on my arms. My arms are not exactly straight. My elbows are slightly bent. And guess what? At this position, I can even go all the way forward, and because I'm controlling my center of gravity with my thighs, guess what? Look. Loose arms. I'm not supporting myself right here. Like if I'm all the way in the back, I can't do that, because if I let go, I fall forward because I'm way too far back and I'm not supporting my center of gravity by being forward and hugging on the tank. So I go forward, I hug on the tank. Now my upper body doesn't have to be as much forward because my lower body is a lot more forward, and because I'm gripping on the tank, now I have the control to either lean forward or lean back without putting pressure on my arms. So that is the key to take away pressure on your arms. As soon as you're forward on the bike and you're gripping tight right here, this is going to allow you to control your upper body better, which means you can lean a little bit more forward or lean a little bit more back. But every time that I do that, my upper body's relaxed because I'm controlling my upper body movement through my hips. And my body position on the bike is all being controlled by my hips. I am no longer supporting my body weight right here on the handlebars because my upper body's relaxed. So usually if I'm in the correct position and my grip on the tank is pretty good with my thighs, I'll just go around and I'll be pretty relaxed. My hand is super relaxed. I'll go a little bit and give it a little bit of throttle. I'll let go. At no moment is there any hand pressure right here. There's no forward pressure, unless you got a counter steer or something, then obviously I give it a little bit of that pressure, but it's never to the point where I'm actually supporting myself the entire time with that. So this is going to be something that a lot of people don't catch themselves doing, especially on naked bikes, because on naked bikes you might have the impression that you're in a good position because you're not as far forward as you are on a sport bike. When you're on a sport bike, you're automatically going to be far forward, which means that if you're doing it wrong, you're going to feel it immediately because you're going to have tons of pressure on your hands. So on a sport bike, as soon as you do it wrong, you're going to be able to tell you're already far forward. So it is imperative on a sport bike, it's of maximum importance that you really grip on that tank so that you don't have a lot of that upper body pressure. But on other bikes, it's not as easy to tell, but usually that's what's going on. I'll go ahead and I'll turn this on right here and I'll do a couple laps so that you guys can see. All right, so now we're going. I'm forward on the seating position. I am hugging on the tank. my upper body is completely relaxed. Look at my hand. It's so loose. If I want to give it a little bit of throttle, then I'll give it a little bit of throttle. That's it, you know. And when you're on the street, obviously you want to go ahead and give it as much throttle as you need. But the entire time, I never have any type of actual forward pressure, because I'm literally just controlling the throttle, because my body position is being controlled by my thighs, right? My thighs hugging on the tank. So I'm just chilling, you know. I can even open my hand, and I can do this like on the freeway and stuff. I'm not gonna do it because it's really hard to pick up the audio. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my setup. It doesn't pick up audio on the freeway, but I do this on the freeway all the time, you know. I'll just be there with one hand chilling. My hand will be completely relaxed. My elbows are slightly bent. I'm never like this. I'm never completely fully straight or anything like that. I'm just relaxed the entire time. Put a big emphasis on your upper body being completely relaxed. If your upper body is not completely relaxed, you're doing it wrong for sure. Grip on the tank harder, take away that pressure, and you should feel good to go. Like, it should feel really easy. It should feel like there's no type of pressure on your upper body at all, which is usually the problem with everybody. Everybody leans forward way too much and you start getting way too much hand pressure, and then your arms or your hands are gonna start falling asleep or going numb or tingling, whatever you want to call it. They all suck just as bad. But basically, that is the entire deal. So it's a pretty basic technique, but I feel like people neglect that so much because everybody thinks it's just a grip thing, and it could be a grip thing. For some of you, it might be a grip thing. You might actually be that person that's gripping a little bit too hard right here, but most of the time, the only reason that you're gripping that hard in the first place is because your position on the bike is off. So as soon as you fix it, I guarantee you'll be able to go 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours riding, and your arms will not get numb. Why? Because there's no forward pressure, because you're not putting your body weight on there, because you're not supporting your body weight against the handlebars, because you're fully controlling yourself with your hips by being forward on the bike, gripping the tank, and making your upper body be as relaxed as possible. So an easy way to practice this is every time that you're on the road and you feel you start getting a little bit of that numbness, go a little bit more forward on your bike, grab the tank a little bit harder, and try to relax your upper body. Just relax your upper body, do a little bit of breathing, relax it as much as you can. I guarantee it, with time, you will not feel any type of numbing at all. So that's pretty much the technique. As I said, number one, make sure that you're not gripping way too hard on the throttle. And number two, just watch your body position on the bike, sit forward, grip the tank hard, relax your upper body, and you're gonna be absolutely good to go. It seems pretty easy, it seems pretty straightforward, but you will not realize that you're doing it wrong until you intentionally try to do it right and put a lot more effort into the gripping of the tank, and then you're like, oh damn, I've been doing this wrong the entire time. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it. It should be a pretty simple and straight up video. If you guys have any questions on it, please do let me know. Obviously, this is gonna solve like 99% of issues. There might be some other people out there that might be experiencing hand issues because of some other thing. Maybe your bike is set up weird and it's not, you know, the ergonomics of the bike are not the best for your specific body. That's also going to be a possibility. But I would say for like 90-95% of the people out there that have a bike that actually suits their body and the ergonomics are right, and you're still getting that numbing hand, it's probably because of the two things that I mentioned. You're either squeezing too hard, or you're leaning too hard on the bike, putting tons of pressure on your hands, not gripping the tank or anything like that, or sitting too far back. And those are usually going to be the reasons. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for today. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please do comment below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.